As Priya pointed out, Tatas have got the upper hand, 73%. So this should sail through. I mean, the resolution moved by the parent, that is Tata Sons, should actually sail through, which will mean that Mr. Mistry will actually no longer be part of the board of TCS. But it's other companies where the parent, Tata Sons, do not hold 73%, and the shareholding in most other companies ranges between 30 and 40%, where the battle actually will be fought. Mr. J.N. Gupta, who was the former executive director at SEBI, joins us now. Sourav Majumdar is also with us. He's the editor of Forbes. He's also with me here in our studios. Thanks very much, both of you. Appreciate you joining in. Mr. Gupta, if I can start with you, should we take TCS as the template for what is to come in terms of many EGMs through the course of December, sir? Or do you think this stands apart as a company where Tata Sons will have its way without any real fight?
See, it is a part template and part stands apart. As far as the shareholding pattern is concerned, as far as the outcome is concerned, it stands apart from the other 6 companies because of a brute majority that Tata Sons has in the form of 73.5%. So the outcome is known, therefore it stands apart from the other 6 EGMs, where outcome is still not known. But how it will serve a template for the other 6 things is by the voting pattern of 27 or 26.5% other public shareholders, who can be categorized into 3 boxes. One is the Indian mutual fund industry, other is Indian insurance industry, which is majorly government control, LIC, other general insurance companies, and third part is foreign institutional investors. Now, LIC and other insurance companies, as you see, are one of the major shareholders in all the 7 companies. Now, today's voting, or the result will not come out today, we will only know tomorrow or day after how they have voted. So it will establish what will be their pattern of voting in the future 6 EGMs. Similarly, mutual fund industry and FIIs. Because it is not a company-specific issue. It is an issue of some broad parameters. And as we have pointed out, that while we do not agree with the optics of decision of TSL, Tata Sons Limited, although it may be legally right. But as far as the company-specific issue is concerned, one has to see how it will impact the company if Mr. Mistry continues or Mr. Mistry goes. So there you have to see what is the performance parameter that can be attributed to Mr. Mistry.
Mr. Majumdar, how would you look at it? I mean, I think he makes an interesting point, Mr. Gupta, that how the other shareholders, public shareholders vote would be telling in this case.
Well, actually, that's always been the case because, how LIC, the mutual funds and the FIIs vote in the next few EGMs will actually be more telling because this particular one, as we've just discussed, is more an open and shut case as far as the shareholding is concerned. You have a brute majority of 73.3%. And I think Mr. Mistry, in his the letter to shareholders today, just ahead of the EGM, has virtually given up this particular contest. But that's not to say that he's going to give up the issue with or issues he's fighting for, which being, preserving the governance, template of Tata Sons and the Tata Group as he sees it, which is pretty much very different from what the Tata Sons under the present regime sees it. So it's going to be very critical which way the LIC vote goes and also of the mutual funds, of course. Public shareholders, I've been just watching the tickers right now as we speak. Some of them, of course, are raising questions relating to how the manner in which Mr. Mistry was treated and such things, which are bound to come out now at the EGMs. That's why they're so important, actually.
Mr. Mistry did not make an appearance today at the EGM. I mean, for obvious reasons, because he did not have a chance here.
That's right.
But we should expect him to be there present in other EGMs, right?
Well, I would assume so, unless he's decided that he doesn't want to come and he's given up, which I doubt very much, given the vociferous nature of his campaign to restore, status quo ante. So I really don't assume. I think in some of these cases where he has seen the independent directors voting for him and, the shareholding of the Tata Sons is much lower, I would assume he should make an appearance. Let's see what happens. It's not.
Mr. Gupta, so voting is electronic, right? 2 questions. One, by when will we know exactly who voted? Will we know, first of all, who voted how? With blocks of shareholders? Yes, go on.
You will not be able to know which shareholder voted what percent, what wise, but you will be able to see it in things that the shareholding, the voting pattern will be released, how the promoters voted, how the public voted. Public, there are two types of shareholders, institutional shareholders and retail shareholders. So from the votes of institutional shareholder, you will get an idea what is the wind, which way the wind is blowing. And whatever way, say for example, if LIC has voted in favor and others have voted in against, you will be able to somehow guess what has been the voting pattern of the institution. But individually, you will not know who has voted what way.
But you will essentially get votes against blocks of shareholders, right? Or so local shareholders.
Yeah. No, you will be able to guess it.
Okay,
but you will not get exact answer.
Right.
And the second issue, when you asked that when the result would be known, it is to be made public within 48 hours of the closing of EGM.
Yes.
So if today the EGM is closed, within 2 days it has to come, but generally it comes in 1 day time. So it is likely that it will come tomorrow. And in this case, it will certainly come tomorrow because Tata would be very much interested in telling to the world how the voting pattern happened.
Fair enough. And to the point that we were discussing earlier, I was talking with Mr. Majumdar here, Mr. Gupta, about him not being present physically at the TCS shareholder meet. I mean, it's actually, I mean, you know, he's been extremely vociferous, as Mr. Majumdar was saying. So does it send a signal, him not being present, or it really does not?
See, I would partly agree with Sourav for the simple reason he has been using the provisions of the law as per what is his authority. As per section 169 of the Companies Act, he had a right to make representation to the shareholder, which he has done. The same law provides him to be present at meeting and answer or make his presentation of his case. Here, he could have probably chosen not to do it because he knows that it is a waste of energy and effort, and that same energy and effort he can conserve or he can better utilize in all other 6 EGMs, where if institutions do support him, he stands a chance.
Okay, gentlemen, I just would request you to stay with me. We have the RBI press conference on right now. Let's cut across.
Notes of 500 and 1,000 rupees, which have been returned back to the Reserve Bank and the currency chest, that amounted to 12.44 lakh crores as of 10.
Back, the top story this evening is, of course, the Tata versus Mistry battle. It's gone to shareholders. TCS is the first EGM which is being held in Mumbai today. The voting is underway, as we understand. My colleagues Kritika and Priya, of course, have been getting us regular updates. This is how it will roll from here in terms of group companies and the meetings which will be held. So TCS is underway. Indian Hotels is on the 20th of December. Tata Steel is 21st of December. Tata Motors 22nd. Tata Chemicals 23rd of December. Tata Power is on the 26th of December. And mind you, as I began by saying, unlike TCS, where Tata Sons essentially will get to do what it wants without much of a fight from anybody else because they have brute majority, in all the other companies, it's going to be closer. Is it going to be right on the wire? It's difficult to say, but it's going to be closer, and that's what the shareholding looks like. So TCS, 73%, Indian Hotels, 39%, Tata Steel, 32%. If you go on to Tata Motors, if you exclude the ADR shares, works out to 39.6%. Tata Chemicals, nearly 31%. Tata Power, about 33% or so. Mr. J.N. Gupta, former ED, SEBI, Sourav Majumdar, editor of Forbes, have been running us through what they make of this entire situation. Mr. Majumdar, if I can come to you, out of all those companies, TCS is kind of done and dusted with, will be. Which of the other companies do you expect some fireworks at where things will be actually close to call?
Well, I think, it all depends on which way the government shareholding and the funds, etc., vote. But of course, if you're looking for dramatics, if you're looking for closer call, then the TCS one, it will clearly be Indian Hotels, maybe Tata Chemicals. Ones where the independent directors, if you remember, have come out and actually openly supported Cyrus Mistry. And brought in the whole aspect of independent directors and their role, in fact. So I think these are the couple of companies which will be keenly watched. Indian Hotels, I would assume, it will be a complete contrast to today's EGM because that's been the first one where really this drama unfolded.
Yes.
In terms of the independent directors coming out in his support.
I mean, in terms of stocks, Indian Hotels was also the worst hit since the 24th of October. The stock's down 20%. That's the day when Mr. Mistry was outed from the chairmanship of Tata Sons. Mr. Gupta, same question to you, sir. I mean, as you watch this battle unfold, where do you think the battle would be a little more contentious? And second, how do you see once the EGMs are done by the 26th of December, what next? I mean, what happens after that? Let's assume for the moment, as the consensus does, that this does go across the board the Tata Sons way in terms of the voting. They get what they want at all these group companies. What next?
Okay, one by one. See, the voting pattern in EGM will have no meaning by what the board did. Because what independent director supported, what not supported will not be the issue on which shareholders are going to decide, for the simple reason, in most of the EGMs, board has not recommended any action for the shareholder, which we have very much criticized. Because the board is there to guide the shareholder what they want to do. By not giving any recommendation to the shareholder to vote either way, they are playing a very safe game that whatever may happen, their job is safe. So I do not agree with their thing. But in my opinion, it will not be the Indian hotel which will be the issue. The problem area, the thin edge or rather on the wire will be companies like Tata Motors, where the Tata has only 32% stake and ADR holder will play a major role. Then other is Tata Chemicals, there also we have around 30% equity. So those companies where the Tata Sons has equity in the lower 30s and other shareholders are in majority like ADR, 19% ADR in Tata Motors, these are the companies where there could be a very keen battle. Now coming to what happens post 26, even if all the resolution go in favor of Tata, see, as per I have been arguing that please insulate these companies, the listed entities, from what is happening in Tata Sons level.
Right.
Fight your fight wherever it is due. Now, what will happen? Mr. Mistry has already alleged many governance issues.
Yes.
So I have been saying that a regulator's role has come into play, and regulators should ensure that all the issues which have been raised by Mr. Mistry are
addressed,
taken to their logical conclusion.
Okay. So regulators may step in after the 26th of December. Mr. Gupta, Mr. Majumdar, thank you very much. Both of you completely out of time. Thanks for that perspective which is coming in from the both of you. Today, with that, it's a wrap here on this edition.